Welcome to Business is Good, the podcast all about what it means to be in business in the 21st century. Small and medium-sized businesses are the lifeblood of the UK economy, and globally they can and will have a huge impact on society, the economy and how we live our lives. From technology disruption to reworking a solution to solve the world's biggest problem, Business is Good is a podcast about what it takes to be successful and how every business defines that in different ways. Business is no longer just about being defined by what you do, but it's about giving back and redefining the problems and how we solve them in a way that works for you. I'm your host, Caroline Sumners, and I'll be giving you weekly inspirational stories from business owners who are building business and solving problems. Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Business is Good podcast. I'm your host, Caroline Sumners, and today I have the pleasure of introducing Mitch and Shirin from Mitch's Kitchen. Mitch's Kitchen is an independent vegan food brand that actually is close to where I live here on the south coast of the UK. Mitch is an experienced vegan chef, and alongside Shirin, they started the business. They started Mitch's Kitchen a couple of years back and developed a frozen fast food vegan home delivery service. The food is amazing. You will hear that I recorded this back in January, so we've started talking about veganuary a lot, and I did in fact completely independently to this, I did actually do a month of veganism back in January. So this episode is a really fascinating insight into what it takes to grow a food business, and what it takes to grow a business that requires such an amount of investment in terms of, ingredients, infrastructure, all sorts of things, but that shows how Mitch and Shirin together have grown this brand so fantastically over the last couple of years. So enjoy this episode. If you guys want to just start by introducing yourselves, say who you are, what you do, and then we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, perfect. You go first.
So, hi, I'm Mitch, and
I'm Shirin.
And we are the founders of Mitch's Kitchen.
Okay, so what is Mitch's Kitchen? What does Mitch's Kitchen do? You can't say that.
Tongue twister, yeah.
Yeah, it is. You can't say that too many times together.
So we create whole food, plant-based meals. So they are hand-cooked, they're made in small batches, they are full of nutrients, and they are made for people living a fast-paced plant-based life. So anybody that wants to, reduce meat or is looking to just have a healthy option in their freezer ready to go, that's what we serve, really. So the ultimate health convenience.
So do you guys cook them yourselves as well?
Yes, it's all hand-cooked by myself. So a typical batch, like today I did 2 different meals. I did chocolate chili and jackfruit curry, and I made about 60 meals of each, so 120 meals. And all of our packaging is fully recyclable. That was something that was really important.
Yeah. And
rather than adding preservatives like a lot of the kind of supermarket, like shelf-stable ones or ready meals you'll find, we used something called a blast freezer. So basically you cool the food down, you portion it up, you put it in this blast freezer, and it'll take it it can be from boiling hot right the way down to minus 18 in about 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
So it means it locks it in so quickly that if you've ever made, say, a curry at home and then put it in your freezer, and then next time you've gone to cook it, everything's gone to mush. It means it's been a real trial and error to get everything to taste like it's restaurant quality food that you've just had prepared for you rather than a ready meal.
Yeah.
So certain things will go in raw, certain things will go in part cooked. Like, it was a lot of trial and error in the early days just to get the textures perfect, so that you wouldn't actually notice like the potatoes like have the perfect bite or anything like that. Like, it's just a nice textured meal.
So you don't cook all of it? You like some of the ingredients go in uncooked?
Like things like peppers will go in raw.
Oh, wow.
Certain like potatoes or beans you might boil to a certain bite. There's gluten-free pasta's been the biggest kind of test.
Do you make that as well?
No.
Or do you don't go that far?
No, God.
we just use it's a brown rice pasta. That's the only ingredient in it, but it's absolutely delicious. And I basically soak that in cold water, and it has to be soaked for exactly an hour and 20 minutes. Any longer is too mushy. Any less is not like soft enough. So again, it's like all this
Real
trial
science,
and error.
Okay, so it sounds like. So how long have you been going?
So we came up with the idea back in early 2018, probably about February time, that we were discussing doing something along these lines. It started out a bit of a deli idea, so, having a cafe or something like that. And then it evolved, because what we were thinking is, how can we reach more people with our food? And it was looking at food subscription and food delivery, which is a growing market in the UK. And we already had a good online following, because Mitch had been running a blog for a few years. So we had people that were really engaged and interested in the types of food that, Mitch as a chef was cooking. But then we sort of developed the idea. Obviously, there was a lot of research that went into the packaging, what our mission was going to be in terms of the food that we're creating and the allergy friendly side of it that we have, and sort of the ethical side, and then finding the premises that we can operate from. So, the premises that we have has both the kitchen element and then, a warehouse side that we can actually pack and ship orders from. So that all kind of came together in the summer of 2018, took on a premises around September. That had to go through a complete refit to be, food safe for us.
By a premises, it was essentially a shell. It was like an old tractor shed that the previous person used to build like kitchen worktops, but we obviously needed it as a fully food safe working kitchen. So we came up with the design, got all that done, and then they've literally made it absolutely incredible. Within a month, it was converted to the best kitchen that we could have ever imagined. So it was amazing.
And we launched in end of November 2018. So we've been going for about 14 months, I think. Yeah.
Wow. But you said that you a lot of trial and error went into the preparation or developing the food. Were you doing that? Were you getting that ready all the while you were looking for people? Because presumably you weren't you didn't start it's November 18 when you sold your first
So it kind of was so there's certain meals that I'd planned on paper and hadn't actually cooked at all, because I was like, I want to cook with the equipment, I want to do this, I want to do that. But there's some we would cook at home, like the chocolate chili, which is still some people's absolute favourite. We used to make that at home all the time anyway, so I knew that was going to be the first meal on the menu. But the rest of it, we literally had the premises built. We were starting to work on the website. We were doing all this stuff, and then in day one, I kind of went in I actually have to design a menu now. So that was on about 1st of November, and then it was 2 weeks of intensive trial and error, going how does the blast freezer work? How does this oven work? How do I even do a lidding machine? It was just finding my feet in those 2 weeks of just really intensive, long days from sort of 7:30 in the morning till at least 6 in the evening. If not, we had one where it was going to 11, 12 at night, just putting all the hours in just to fully understand our process. And then, it was November 27th, I think we actually went. Should we just go?
Yeah, normally. Thanksgiving. And how many meals do you sell? Because I look at your website, you've got 10 different meals.
I think it's 11 main meals now. So when we launched, purely
you don't
because
cook all them every week though, do you?
No. So
I was going to say rotation. It's a stock rotation of what's selling best as well, because you'll have, for example, at the moment we've got a limited edition Sunday roast which we sell called Sunday Best, but we don't do that year round. So that's something that you'll maybe spend a week completely building up the stock for that, and then you can have a few weeks off from cooking that, because the freezer's full. And that's kind of the beauty of what we do, is that it holds really well because it's frozen. So
they've all got a 6-month shelf life, so I can basically go on the website that we use. It's really easy to track stock. So the stock today, before I've even cooked it, I'm I know I can make 60 meals, so I can do 30 of the single portions and 30 of the double, or whatever it is. And I can the next day go, right, what do I need to cook? Open it up, see which is at the lowest stock, do my veg order, which will arrive the next morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really nice system to be able to kind of manage, and it also means there's no real food waste, because it's not like I'm going to order in loads of veg and then work out what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So I can order the exact amounts of things that I want. We use the Fruit Basket, who are a really good local sort of fruit and veg supplier.
Yeah.
They're our main sort of like daily veg, and then we've got really good cooperatives or independent wholesalers who, again, they're very ethical. Like a lot of them are vegetarian or have sort of a very strong bias towards vegan and vegetarian food. So we get really good quality sort of grains, pulses, beans, all that kind of stuff, which is obviously again taken on top of with stock.
Oh, it's amazing. Now, I'm intrigued. We're actually sitting in Mitch and Shirin's kitchen. I'm intrigued. Do you then come home? They're home, sorry. Not they're home. And the cat, in case you had the cat meowing, the cat's here. Do you then come home and cook?
Yeah.
Something completely separate, different?
Yeah.
Well, tonight you brought back some of the meals that you'd made. So we'll do a bit of a mix. So like sometimes we'll have that for lunch, sometimes we'll have it for dinner. But we both love cooking. So like yesterday, it was a Sunday, we went out, we did an 8-mile walk in the day, and then we came home, and I just had, so I'm half Persian, and I had a real hankering for Persian food. So we came back and we just cooked for like 2-3 hours, and I made like 3 different Persian dishes so we could have that for dinner. So it is a real passion for both of us that we love. We really gravitate towards good food.
Yeah. And do you do any of the cooking for the business as well? Do you do as you're told?
Basically, sous chef. I'm like, yes, chef. And it is because it's very different to like chefing in a restaurant, because it is a production kitchen. You have to have down to the minutes and the seconds of everything being done exactly right. So I have to follow those instructions. I can't deviate from it, and it has to be this style cut of a potato, and this amount of grams or milligrams of whatever it is that we are making. So but I have helped out, but that's not really my area.
She comes up with ideas. It's like there's one meal she really wants me to do a mac and cheese, but it's just not my thing, but I know people want it.
That's the thing that's the thing that I miss, not being able to have mac and cheese.
Yeah, and that's it. And it's
a comfort food, isn't it?
It's such a comfort, and I've had some really good vegan gluten-free ones that I go, actually, I could be eating this more often.
I'm in constant search of a dairy-free mac and cheese, and I've probably tried all of them. So, Mitch,
come on,
challenge.
Do it.
That's definitely one that I think Shirin really wants me to do. So I'm sure, like most of our things, as soon as we mention mac and cheese, everyone goes crazy. So it has to be on the menu whether I like it or not. But
you're resisting, but you've got to do it at some point.
It has to be like exceptionally good if it's going to be on the menu.
Yeah.
Well, I think also because when we were designing the menu to begin with, we wanted it to really reflect lots of different cuisines and not just be something that's bulk standard that you could get in the supermarket. So, and it's not just the cuisine, it's the elements that go into the dishes that are very intricate to make, and you could only really do it by hand, which is why we really pride ourselves on what we do with the hand cooking, is that you would never get that resembled in a supermarket ready meal. So we've tried to really create a menu that is very unique, and now that we've got that, and we've got some staples in there, like I talk about the roast, and we've got a take on a vegetarian or obviously a vegan cottage pie, we need some of those sort of home comforts that people, although they could make them themselves, at the end of the day can't be bothered, so they want the convenience of I'm going to have this, and then I can also have that on the weekend when I'm feeling a little bit tired and I just want something that's...
I think it's quite challenging though, especially if you're just sort of trying out vegan food for the first time. So like January, veganary. I've never
Veganuary.
I think it's quite challenging for people if you don't just go like vegetable stir fry or just like the obvious things. I think it's challenging to get something that can taste nice, or wants you to keep trying. So I think people maybe, just from experience and from talking to people I know, because it has so many different types of ingredients in it, if you're going to get the nutritional elements into it, it's quite easy for it to go wrong, I think, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
I think
that's like the fear for people, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
It's that barrier. People like, you kind of, even my background, like when I used to have my food blog, a lot of the recipes were very much focused around the piece of meat that I was using, and then what seasoning would go on that, and then the veg was kind of the afterthought. So you take off that main piece. It's no longer your plate is meat, carb source, vegetables. It's kind of how can you get flavors, like colors, textures? How can it be wholesome, filling? Have your protein. Have kind of like if you're having a workout, is it enough calories? Because that's the thing with a lot of like vegetables, they can be very low calorie and very kind of volume foods. So you can feel like you're eating a lot of food, but then if you actually look at the nutrition, you're not actually eating that much. So when I first did Veganuary in 2016, that was kind of, since then I stayed vegan. I was already cooking vegan food at home for Shirin, and I was working in a vegan cafe as a chef there, and I just kind of went, well, I'm really enjoying the creative process, but I wasn't eating enough food. I'd gone from my background of tracking everything I ate. I was very much like obsessed with calorie counting and intermittent fasting and all this, which can be healthy to a point, but I took it too far. And by going vegan, I completely changed that and just went, I'm just going to eat like lots of food and listen to my body. But I lost about a stone in the first month because I wasn't eating enough calories. And I suddenly went, I can eat more food. Amazing. So it was like a nice revelation of going from really restricting my calorie intake and food and what I was eating to suddenly being like, I need to eat all the time, but it's delicious and it's healthy and it makes me feel good and full of energy and all this.
Yeah. So actually I was going to ask that. So you've only been vegan for 3 years. Is that what you're
4 years now? Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
but Shirin, you already were vegan, weren't you?
So I went vegan in 2015.
Right.
And that's the thing that we don't really shy away from, is that we were both really big meat eaters. And we've grown up, and it was from one extreme to the other. I had steak for breakfast, like steak and like eggs, and we ate a lot of exotic meats and stuff. So we went from completely, a meat eating diet to just, for me, it was just literally one day I was like, I'd been thinking about it for a while, like a couple of years, and kind of on and off, like wanted to give it a go, but I didn't want to have the pressure of a label and try to live up to, a standard that might not be achievable. So I kind of was like quietly thinking about it. And then it just happened one day. I was like, that's it. Don't want to do it anymore. I'm just going to.
And what was the reasoning behind that? Was it health? Was it ethical reasons? Was it a combination of things?
I think initially it was, for me, ethical, because I'd seen documentaries or videos that get shared, and that it kind of played on my mind, and I thought, I don't really want to do it anymore, but I love burgers. I'd watch it and then I'd be like eating a burger feeling guilty about it. And so it started off with that. And that was where I made the decision. Of all the places that I could have gone vegan, we were in America, we were doing a road trip, and we were doing a bit of a food tour, and we'd made our way round the whole of the US and to this one place which is like the mecca of meat, and it's this Kansas City barbecue, which I was going to say, I bet you're in like Texas or Georgia or something like that.
I was so excited.
No offense to anyone.
It was like smoky ribs and all this, and like I was so excited to get there. And we kind of come in the door, order all the food, it comes to the table, and then Shirin's like, I'm not really hungry. I'm like, okay, and I just like dug in and
eating the beans and coleslaw, this is really tasty. And Mitch is like, you're not eating the meat, and I was like, I'm just really full. I don't really know why, and I didn't want to spoil the experience for him. And the funny thing was, literally, we had a steak the night before, so it wasn't like I'd been eating less. It was like from one extreme to the other, and we came out and he was like, what's wrong? Like, I can tell, like, you're not yourself. And I was like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to be me. But I didn't want to say, because I thought, I don't want to be that person that's like, I'm doing it, therefore you have to do it, and everyone else has to do it. I just thought, I'm going to be really kind to myself, and I'm going to take it as it comes, and I'll start with like reducing, and like, for me, I cut out meat first, then I carried on eating fish for like a month, and then I ate so much fish I got sick of it, so I was like, cut that out. And then I went vegan for a month, to try it, and it was in the August of 2015. The main thing that was holding me back this whole time was, so I'm celiac, so I can't have gluten. And I thought, that's hard enough when I go around people's houses being like, I'm gluten-free, can you make something for me? I thought, if I go around and I say I'm vegan and gluten-free, no one's ever going to have me around. So I thought, I'm going to be the most awkward dinner guest ever. But I thought, if I can do it for a month, and we were going away on a trip, and we thought, if we can go away outside of our hometown and outside of our own comfort zone, and I can find options then then I can prove to myself that it's doable.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And you joined me for that month, and you went vegan for the month, and we both like really loved it because we were just experimenting so much with different foods. And then I just kind of kept it up, but it took a while for me to like feel that I wanted to tell people that I was a vegan, if that makes sense, that label.
You know what, it totally makes sense, because I'm going to a birthday party at the end of the month, a birthday dinner at the Ivy in Winchester. And so it's my friend's husband's birthday, and she sent round the menu that we need to choose from. And the menu that they've sent, there's only one vegetarian thing on it, let alone anything vegan. And I felt really uncomfortable about saying to her, oh, I'm going to need to have, I can talk to the restaurant, or I'm going to need to have something else. And I know what you mean, because I just thought, oh God, I'm being such a pain. And so I get that. It's kind of like the psychology of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you've just got to get over it.
That's it. Like once you get past it, and I talk about this a lot, but I've kind of moved towards a phrase of progress, not perfection. And that's how I approach it, because I think, I think about it with anything in life. Like and it was the same with us when we were launching the business, that we had to come to a point where we were like, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Yeah. And we'll put it out there, and we'll get feedback, and then we'll make it better. Yeah. And we'll constantly make it better. And it was the same with this. I thought, I might not be completely perfect, but so what? At least I'm doing what feels right for me.
And you're 80%, 90% better than you were previously.
Yeah.
So I think you're right, actually.
Yeah. And I think with it started out for me very much around the ethical side, and then I quickly saw the benefits for my skin and my health and my nails and energy, sleep. The health element came in, and then environmental, because there's so much more, awareness around that at this point in time. So kind of all the other areas then have at different stages made more sense to me, and, become very important to me as to why I
it's a work
do
in
it.
Progress.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
That. I like that. I think that's a good approach to have, because we also get so hung up, don't we, on it's got to be perfect before I do it.
Yeah. Oh, I could never do it because I love chocolate, or I love this, and it's like, well, don't worry about that. Don't worry about 30 days from now. Just focus on what you're eating today. Yeah. And if you can do it today, great. Try again tomorrow. If you did it yesterday, because you proved to yourself you could, try again the day after.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's really.
And that was one of the things that I put up on our social media the other day, is focusing on what you can have, not what you can't have. Like it's what you should be eating, because it's like, I remember before I went vegan as well. So like Shirin, we were obviously then cooking vegan food at home after this America trip. Yeah. I then got a part-time job in a vegan cafe, which at the time was kind of vegetarian. And I started working there, going like, oh, this is really fun, like lots of new flavours, introduced some ingredients that I didn't even know existed. And then they were like, we're going to go vegan in January. We're going to do a big rebrand. And I just went, well, I might as well do it as well, because I'm already eating a lot less. Yeah. At home, I would occasionally, I used to work with Muscle Food, which is one of like the biggest UK meat suppliers. I would do recipe videos and blog stuff for them. And that was like telling them January 1st, 2016, being like, hi guys, so I'm going vegan now. And they were like, you're joking. Like my previous order was like zebra and springbok and like literally like the most exotic meat you've ever heard of. But for me, like Veganuary really proved to me that you kind of use meat as just like an easy thing. Like, that's what you cook with. That's what everyone, it's the done thing. But when you take that out and you go, you can't use that anymore, you get more creative, and like it introduced so many amazing new products and flavors and things that we hadn't really experimented with before. Or you take a simple thing like a mushroom and you're like, how can you make that taste meaty? If you get oyster mushrooms and you shred them and fry them off, they go almost like a pulled pork. So you can get these.
I've got some of them for my dinner tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're
amazing. Like it's the flavors and textures you can make from like just whole food is absolutely incredible. And it just, to me, I was like, because there is these alternatives, I have no personal need to buy meat or dairy anymore. It just feels like very selfish of me to think that, like, because it's there and because everyone else does it, I should be doing it too. So like if we buy, say, the meat alternative burgers or something like, say, a Linda McCartney burger, like people will question sometimes and be like, well, why do you want like a vegan burger when you can just buy a beef burger? And it's like, well, why would you buy a beef burger when you can buy an alternative burger? Then you're not having a suffering of an animal, or like the impact on the environment from like raising that animal and all that side. Like the more you learn about it, it's just like when there's two side by side, if they taste the same, nutritionally they're potentially better, if not exactly the same, then why wouldn't you choose the one that hasn't come from an animal?
No, and I know it sounds a bit ridiculous. I mean, I've never really eaten a lot of meat, and like when I was sort of like in my teens, I think I announced to my parents I was going vegetarian. I think that probably didn't go down that well at the time. And so I've never really been that keen on meat. I don't eat lamb, never ate lamb. But it sounds a bit crazy, but I got a dog 6 years ago, and it was when I got a dog and I had an animal living in the house that I really started to become much more aware about animals in general. And it sounds a bit crazy but I think you just go along in your day-to-day life, don't you? And you don't think about it. But once it comes into your consciousness, you're like, okay, I don't really want to be doing that.
That's it. And it's different for everybody. I think that's, there's a moment of association that like kicks in. And that was, when we walked into that barbecue place, all it was there was like a picture of a pig on the wall. And I looked at it and I just thought, that's a really cute looking pig and I don't want to eat it. But like I've never looked at a pig that way. And I've had friends that have worked and like they have a family farm, they've raised animals, and I've gone and seen those animals and I've loved them and played with them whilst I was still eating meat. And then I'd go back and say, oh, where's Frank? And they're like, Frank's sausages now. And I'd be like, lol. Because that was just like, it was just normal in a way. And then for some reason it just changed for me. So, it just clicked and I made that association and I thought, no, I don't want to do that. So.
It's really, really fascinating. So let me ask you, tell me some of the challenges that you've had launching a business.
Money.
And so have you self-funded everything?
It's all been bootstrapped.
So we were very lucky from sort of like grandparents or sort of like close family in the early stages, just helping out with a bit of money just to help us buy stock or like just sign the lease agreement or whatever it was, like sort those things. But our main source of funding initially was the Startup Loans Company. So a really good company. We kind of looked into various forms, like we just missed out on some grants and all this stuff. So we kind of looked at any sources we could. And when we spoke to Startup Loans Company, one of our close friends had done they've got a very successful company now. And he recommended this lady who worked within them. And we had a good meeting with her and essentially went, this makes sense. So we got that funding and managed to kind of get it off the ground. And then we did a second round within that to essentially bring Shirin on full time to help fund that, so we could both be fully in it and working as hard as we could.
I think you can never really prepare yourself when you're starting a business, because we've done a lot of challenging like projects along our journey, and it's only when you're in the thick of it that you realise so much more than you could ever be prepared for. So I think that was, as we were going down the road, we thought, we're going to need this, and we're going to need we're going to need funding for that, and we're going to need funding for cash flow, because it's we've got to have working capital.
That's the killer, I think, cash flow.
Absolutely. And then other challenges, obviously, when we were first researching, where we were looking for packaging that was going to be suitable for freezing, then suitable to be heated in the microwave or oven. So we give customers the flexibility to do it in both. So that serves two purposes. Trying to find something that is sustainably sourced and recyclable. So, the materials that they're using to make this are also then able to go back into the system and be, reused. That took a lot of time, and I mean we were so geeky about it. We would literally be in bed with our laptops, searching until it was a Saturday night until midnight, and I'd be like, wow, Mitch, look at this, I've just found this, and I'll save that, we'll get in touch with them tomorrow. And then people would come around and they'd ask us, how's it all going? And we're like, look at these boxes we've just ordered. And we would bring down a multitude of different shipping boxes.
Check this sample. What do you think of this?
And we were sorry, we're really overly enthusiastic about some cardboard boxes, but that was our life, was really trying to find the right packaging all the way through to what the meal goes into, how we can produce that, put it into that, and then how we can get it to the customer still frozen, so that you know, if they're at work and it's sitting outside their house, then when they come home it's still going to be frozen and it's still suitable to pop in the freezer and then cook straight from frozen. So there was a lot of research that I don't think we knew was going to take that long, and it is also ongoing for us. Like, we're constantly looking for
because I guess new developments happen all the time, and you're thinking about new things that are coming up, so you've got to keep pace with what's happening.
Absolutely. And also just understanding the difference between, and I still don't fully understand, compostable, home compostable, industrial compostable, biodegradable, degradable. Like, so when you're looking at different materials, do they work together? And is it going to confuse the customer? Because if we're saying this part's degradable, this part's recyclable,
and it is confusing, isn't it? As someone, a homeowner, I don't know what the Fairham council do, great. But it's like
no, and we will be challenging them.
What's the city council? You can't do certain things, but you can do others. Although they're just trialling the bins for the food waste.
That's what
which is good.
I really want to get onto Fairham Council about that. Like, that's one of my missions this year, is to at least understand why the recycling and waste management is like that in Fairham, and can they do more within
the budget?
What I don't understand is why it's different in every single region. It's like, surely if you can recycle glass and compost and peelings and everything in Petersfield, why can't you do it 20 miles down the road in Portsmouth and 25 miles down the road in Fairham? It makes no sense whatsoever. That's
what I want to understand, because it's like at our work, we've got our general waste, which we'll maybe do one bag every 2 weeks. And that'll just be from certain packaging that our big shipments will come in, which can't be helped. Even then, like most of the suppliers we use, they'll pack all the individual items in a box which had something else that they get shipped in. So even they're very sort of thoughtful over that. But then we've got our cardboard waste, we've got a glass waste and a food waste. So we've got 4 separate bins, which again, you can choose the frequency of how regularly they're collected, but it's something we very much like. We don't have much waste at all, but the waste that we do have, we make sure it's sorted properly. We would love to be able to do the same at home, because like you said, it's as a consumer, you want to do your part, like use your reusable like water bottle or coffee cup or whatever, and you try and buy things that aren't in plastic, but when you do get plastic and it says recycled, does that actually get recycled by your local council?
Exactly, it's crazy. So money and all the research, the sort of like the intricacies of the research for your business.
Absolutely. And then also getting people to understand the concept of what we do, because
that's the hardest.
I think
I was going to ask you that, because I think if you've ordered or if you've seen products like yours before, then it's quite
makes sense,
not quite easy to understand. But I guess the first hurdle is just getting them.
It's the ready meal, like. It's kind of, people have a certain view on like the word vegan and what that stands for and what that means, but everyone has a slightly different view on it. And most ready meals is kind of I'm short on time, I'll grab a ready meal. It's not going to be great for me. It doesn't taste amazing, but it will fill a hole. And that's kind of what we're up against, being like, no, this is a hand prepared, like chef developed cooked meal, like with no preservatives or nasties. And even the packaging's all recyclable, but it tastes like home cooked food, and there's nothing in there that you'll go, oh, it's good, like it's high on salt, it's high on sugars or oils. It's like it's been really well thought out with whole foods, and it's just a completely different. Like if you had them side by side, like you should be able to taste the difference between a mass-produced factory line ready meal versus one of our meals. That's kind of what we're up against. But then obviously with that comes the price difference, because you could go to say, I don't know, Aldi and get one for like £2 or £3, whereas ours would be about £6. So there is that difference in price, but you're paying for like a lot more with it. And also we have a charitable element where we've teamed up with Mary's Meals. So for every meal sold, we donate a meal.
Oh, right.
So,
excellent.
And again, that was a barrier, because we knew from day one we wanted to sort of do more. Like it wasn't just about making great tasting meals, it was about how can we have a wider impact. So we approached Mary's Meals, and they initially said like, yeah, we'd love to work with you, but you need to commit to something like £8,000. And I was like, we can't really do that like from day one because we don't even know if we're going to make £8,000. Like,
we haven't even launched yet.
There's no guarantee. So we kind of went, well, we'll put that on the back burner and we'll come back to it. And then we discovered an amazing kind of partnership group called Work for Good, and they almost act as like a broker. So they go, well, we as Work for Good can guarantee we can get this many donations for Mary's Meals, but they could do that from 10 businesses, 50 businesses, whatever it is. So then we can go, actually, this month we can give £300 or £500 or whatever it is. But without having that £8,000 sort of barrier underneath us.
And also, I think the beauty of what Work for Good do, because their mission is, you know, a lot of big corporate companies are doing that, the CSR, corporate social responsibility piece now, because they understand that consumers care a little bit more than they used to do. They want to know, why should I buy with you? What do you do beyond just selling a service? Like, what is your mission outside of that? So if corporates can do it, they can guarantee, you know, X amount of thousands to businesses and, you know, charities every year. But small businesses, they want to do that, but it might be just, you know, a drop in the ocean, but it's still something towards that charity's, you know, ultimate fundraising. Work for Good work with small businesses all across the UK. You can select which charity it is that you want to work with. And because they have a network of people that are active on their dashboards of, you know, even consumers that want to support ethical businesses that are, you know, doing their charity piece, then it helps us to find new people that would want to buy from us because of that element that we have to our mission.
You're giving back, but it's also a marketing tool for you as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's you know, so to give a bit of detail around, you know, Mary's Meals, the reason we chose them as a charity was, firstly, we were looking at, could we donate a percentage of, you know, each profit that comes from a meal? But then we thought, does that really translate? Because sometimes if you see that on the back of a, you know, packaging, you think, well, what is their profit? I don't know. So therefore, if they say 10% of profits, what does that equate to? So we thought we have to find a way that it's really simple for people to see that it's 1 for 1. So when they buy one meal, we donate the equivalent of one meal to a child that's living in poverty. So Mary's Meals work across 18 countries, and these are some of the poorest communities in those countries. They have over 80,000 volunteers that will cook the meals in those areas, and this meal is provided in a place of education, so it encourages those children to be educated and go to school, so that they get a meal when they're at school, which is a really nourishing meal. And the idea is that by doing that, you're helping to create a brighter future so that these children have the education to hopefully work their way out of poverty. And that's what we, you know, our mission as a business is, beyond just, you know, creating delicious meals and fueling the next generation of, you know, fast-paced, plant-based people. It's about helping to close that food poverty cycle and end it ultimately.
I when the Rugby World Cup was on, this is related, but slightly tangential, whatever the word is. The guy that is the captain of the South African rugby team, really inspirational guy, he said at the end of an interview, they were saying about how, you know, how well he'd done and what an achievement it was and all this stuff. And he was from a township in South Africa. And he said, no, this isn't, you know, this is great. But he basically took it back to, I used to go to school just so I could get a meal. And that was how he started his whole process of even playing rugby and all of that. So then when you see that come full circle, you're like, okay, that's...
Gives you chills, doesn't it?
It does.
Hearing that.
Yeah, it really does. I was just like, it was just so amazing to hear him sort of say stuff like that. Okay, so so when you launched Mitch's Kitchen, what was the main way that you launched it? Is it through social media? You said you're going on the radio?
So yeah, basically with like I've always been like really into sort of Instagram and Facebook. Like with my food blog, it was all kind of food-based recipes. And like when I then started working in the vegan cafe I was in, again, I was still sharing more recipes and photos of stuff that we were making there. So when I kind of announced that I was going to be doing my own thing, and I was often showing like stories or sort of behind the scenes videos of, this is our unit. We're at the moment it's a tractor shed. So like next week, come and like see how it's getting developed into a kitchen. And like you made people feel like part of the journey. So we had people really engaged from sort of day one of announcing what we were doing. So that when it kind of got to the stage that it's like, right, we're actually cooking the meals. Okay, you're going to be able to order very soon. Keep in touch.
Sign up to. It was mainly about collecting, a mailing list.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We had a landing page. Sign up. You'll be the first to know when we go live. And I don't think we anticipated quite the amount of support that we had when we did launch, because it was 9:30 at night on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah, it was literally like. We built up stock. I think I cooked about 300 meals and had them frozen with labels. Like, it was all kind of ready to go. We made the website. Like, we did everything in house. We took the photos. We went on Shopify, found a template we liked, played around with it, customized it where we needed, got all the functionality. Like, kind of worked out where we were going. But the whole way along, we thought it was going to be a subscription model. So that was going to be a thing. You were going to order 6 single meals or 6 double meals, and that was it. That's what everyone else was kind of doing within sort of food delivery market. It was kind of the done thing. And then we were like, I can't work out how to do it. Maybe we just ignore subscription. Like, let's just go without it. Let's set a minimum order and see what happens. And,
on the basis of just make some progress.
Exactly, that's it. And it was funny
stumbled across something else. And
I'm such a perfectionist, or I have been a perfectionist in the past. I think I'm definitely moving away from that. And I think everybody is when it's your creative, piece of work. And Mitch was like, I don't know if it's ready. And we were just driving back from the unit, which is 10 minutes from my house, and it was really dark and it was raining. And I said, well, is the website ready? And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like, well. And you've got enough stock just to get us by. We've got all the packaging. We're ready to go. What's the, we can't get the subscription element working, but we've got the minimum order up. Why don't we just launch tonight? And he was like, well, yeah, okay. And we came back and we just went, it's live, and sent an email out like, hey, the website's live. And there was just an influx of orders, and we were watching them all coming on the screen.
So when at 9:30 in the evening, the email went out. By midnight, we'd had 30 orders.
Wow.
So literally it was insane, because I think our first order was our friend Jane. She was on holiday in Spain, and she just happened to check it as soon as the email was sent. She was like, yeah, cool, done.
Oh, that's brilliant though.
But yeah, and then like every time I refreshed it, even like the next day, it was still orders coming in. I think it was like the first 48 hours, it reached something like 50 orders, and I was like, I'm running out of stock. Like, some of the meals had like gone like completely out of stock, and I was like, I'm not going to manage. Like, I had this real panic of going, what have we done? Like, Shirin was still full-time work. It was just me doing everything. And like the first, day one of actually sending any orders out, we had 27 boxes. And that was me going, how do I make a box? How many ice packs go into it? Like, how does this work? How does the website, like, how can I print an order? Like, just
I love it,
understanding everything. So like last minute I called my friend Matt, and I was like, Matt, I need help. Like, are you free? He's like, yeah, I'm just up the road. I was like, get here. So like me and him were like printing everything. Like, I've got a photo of like all the sheets lined up along the kitchen with all like the labels for the meals like stacked up, and like we do like a little handwritten note just to say thank you to everyone. So again, it's like, right, who's this one? Okay, thanks. Oh yeah. Like it was amazing. And then watching them go out the door, I was like, I've got to do that again tomorrow. And then it's like,
the next day.
And it's like, what are people going to think? How are we going to do this? So again, like from that first couple of days, I was like, I need to allow myself some days to cook. So we need to reduce deliveries to maybe 2 or 3 days a week. Because otherwise I'm just not going to be able to go, like, if I've got to do a delivery day, I'm not going to have a chance to cook around that. So then we just, basically assess the situation when, well, let's do Wednesday and Friday deliveries that I can cook in between. It gives me a few days. And if needs be, I can cook on delivery days. And it's like, now it's a really efficient machine, so I can cook pretty much 5 days a week, even with deliveries, and it will still work.
Yeah. And is it still only the 2 of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it is good fun. Like, I think we're ready to kind of grow and eventually get stuff in, but it's still, it's to do with timing and to do with cash flow.
Of course.
We don't take a salary yet, because we're obviously putting everything back into the business. So we wouldn't be able to afford to take someone else on because of the added pressure, because then you also need to have the money to market and do all this stuff. And
so you've got to, I know, it's such a challenge, isn't it?
And I think that's the thing, like, you have to be, sorry, Kat's joining the podcast. What have you got to say? Hey, this is our gluten-free vegan cat.
Are you going to sit?
Yeah, she's sitting on the laptop case. That's the done thing with cats.
Sitting on the laptop case. I love it. I love it. When I get home, Rufus is going to be like,
who?
What is that on there? But you said that you had all those orders come in quite quickly. Do you think that is because, or some of it is because you already had quite a following on your social media and on your blog.
Absolutely.
And that without that, it would have been a bit more challenging, because you've obviously been working for years to build that up as well.
Yeah, so I think it was like we had, obviously a lot of them were close family friends and stuff, and people, which is still, it was really touching to us that the people that said they were going to actually ordered, because it's one thing like being like, oh yeah, I'll order, and then it's like, oh, like, you're going to pay now, and they're like, nah, next week. But it was like the amount of people that actually went, yeah, day one, done my order, great, I can't wait to try it. But yeah, I think that definitely helped, because we knew how to use social media, we knew how to market, we knew like, we believed in the product so much, and we showed our passion towards it, that other people before even trying it were like, oh, like if they're that passionate about everything behind the scenes, then I can imagine the foods had that much passion go into it. So like, yeah,
exactly.
I will try
and
it.
I think that's really important, because it obviously, just like you talking to you both about it, you're just so enthusiastic. So I am going to go home and do that. Especially if, do you want me to wait until February?
Oh, no.
Are you a bit busy?
We've got some brownies for you to try in a minute.
Nice,
and also like being Veganuary, we're doing 20% off like at the moment. So if this does go live during January,
20%
it's just
off.
Veganuary in capitals for 20% off.
It's a big month for us, because I think, you know, people start that new year and they want the challenge of, you know, healthy eating and, you know, trying something new, trying something that is a bit different, and it may be a little bit difficult, and we're there to hopefully make it a bit more accessible.
Well, I think you make it accessible, and I think you start to show people what kind of thing is possible for them to maybe do themselves. I mean, definitely if I manage to keep it up, you know, you want that your kind of service, because you can't every night cook from scratch, and it does require that.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And it seemed like having a ready meal is like, it seems almost shameful to some people. It's like, I don't buy ready meals, I cook all my food. I'm like, like in an ideal world, I would cook all my food every night. But like, there's days where you get caught unexpectedly. You could have to work longer than thing, your car could break down, like whatever it is, you get home from holiday, you haven't got anything in the house. Like at least if you go, oh, actually I've got a Mitch's Kitchen in the freezer, I can just put that in. You know, it's a fail-safe for the days that you don't expect to be short.
And it's really good though that you can put them in the oven as well as the microwave, because I don't have a microwave.
That's
so often you find, if you do find something and it's only microwavable, and you're like, well, I don't have one at home.
That's it. I think what's been really encouraging is, you know, those first orders that went out, and then also you know, our ongoing customer base is, even if it was friends and family, they are going to be honest with you as to whether they think it's up to scratch, especially like if they're paying a little bit more for it to be, you know, whole food, unrefined, you know, the best quality ingredients that you could possibly get, and also, you know, sustainable packaging, carbon neutral delivery. We're partially solar powered down at the kitchen. We've tried to think of, you know, as much as we possibly can. When they then taste it and they tell us, or we get, you know, a text, like I had a friend that did an order the other week, and he's messaged every day like, oh my God, I've just had this one and it's amazing. Like, and especially if, I think it's the biggest compliment if somebody is a meat eater that then tries our food and tells us, wow, that's incredible. Or, you know, I had a friend and her fiance, now husband, tried it, and he's a big meat eater, and he's like, oh, go on then, just give us a spoonful. And then he's like, wow, I didn't think it was going to be that filling as well. So it's actually, not only is it tasty, but it's you know, got the amount of, you know, calories and density in the food to fill you up and not feel like you need to, you know, cook some garlic bread on the side or something. So I think that's a really big compliment. And then also what's really interesting to us is, like, we surveyed our customers last year just to get an idea of like what's their lifestyle like, who are the people that we are, you know, marketing to. And I think we had to constantly do that as well and look at the different demographics that we have.
Because there are different things that appeal to them differently.
So we have, you know, new parents, that's a big market for us. We have working parents, we have, you know, working professionals, we have, you know, retired people, parents whose children are vegan, you know, or that family members coming to visit who's vegan. So we have a real mix of people within our customer base. But what I found most interesting is that only 33% of our customer base would describe themselves as veggie, vegan or plant-based. And so actually the majority of our customers are eating a standard Western diet. And I think that is really, really interesting, because that's always the approach that we've had, is that it's plant-based, so we're not expecting you to eat one of our meals and then completely can change your whole lifestyle and chuck out you know everything that you've got that's not classed as vegan. We're showing you how good plant-based food is, or how good food is that just so happens to be vegan, and it's really convenient and it's great when they enjoy it.
I could taste some tapping. I didn't know what it was. Sorry, I went a bit random. Yeah, I think that the thing is with that survey as well, it'd be tempting to think that your marketing is just about we're marketing to vegans.
Yeah.
But within that, that's like saying we're marketing to humans.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's so many people within that.
Absolutely.
The messaging and the things you say to them and how you educate and how you promote are totally different. And all right, you're a small company at the moment and you probably can't do multiple sort of campaigns to different people, but it will start to as you get bigger, won't it?
Yeah.
You'll be able to really refine it down.
Yeah. And that's it, even with so we, as well as main marketing side for us, so we've had, generally it's been things like social media, then you can do sort of the promoted posts or actually do the sponsored ads, so Google adverts and things. We didn't really know what we were doing. We tried to do it ourselves and ended up putting this Google campaign live, which was called a dynamic campaign, which basically you set your budget for the month and it can choose how quickly it wants to spend it. So I put it live and within an hour it spent £150. I was like, stop. I was like, what are you doing? And it was like, it's because it's getting good click-throughs and good traction, but we didn't get any sales. So we ended up speaking to one of our sort of good friends who that's what he does. And he was really able to narrow down and fine-tune to say right, these search terms are giving this result. So actually, Google is good for you, or Instagram's good for you, or Facebook, whatever it is. So,
and I think what's really important to remember about that is that he's the one programming those adverts in, but it's the content that we give him that works. And ultimately, that's something that has always been a real strength for us. Is we've really enjoyed the sort of the way that social media has evolved over the years, and also looking at how it is going to continue to evolve, being really close to that and monitoring it and understanding what is it that makes people engage on a post and what is it that makes people want to buy from you, and constantly looking at that, constantly trying to learn from it, and create the content that works for our audience. And like you say, if we're doing targeted adverts, some adverts will work for some people and some will work for others, and it's the same with our posts, because ultimately we can't create a social post that taps into every single one of those audiences, and the copy doesn't tap into all of those audiences. So we've got to know that we'll get some engagement from one set of audience and then some from another on a different post.
Yeah, it's really important. I think that, and that's one of the key things I think people need to remember, that it's you have to really sort of I hate the word niche, but it is niche. You have to really go down as narrow as you possibly can on certain things.
Absolutely.
You can waste a lot of money on Google.
Yeah.
That's it.
If you don't know what you're doing,
and Facebook ads as well. You can. You know, can suddenly really rack up. So like you say, you have to just test, see what's working, stop one, stop two, and just keep the one going that is.
I think for us, the thing that works best is the face-to-face interaction. So doing things like the vegan events or kind of these kind of shows. So we did our first ever kind of vegan event was Veg Fest in Brighton, which is sort of very well known as one of the biggest ones. We kind of got all our banners printed, had a really nice stand, really happy how it looked. But you spend a few £100 down there, and people just kind of will walk past, take free samples, and wander off. It wasn't really what we thought it was going to be. And then while we were at that event, we were chatting to a lady who had one up in, was it Tonbridge or somewhere?
No, it was Rochester.
Rochester, yes. Oh, yeah, so she did the Rochester Vegan Festival, and she was like, if you do a cooking demo, you can have a stand. And we ended up going along and selling 10 times as much as we sold at Veg Fest. And it was a really nice, really good
village
environment.
Hall, really,
Just chatting to people coming past, and I'll get some of them. And we find actually some of the smaller events we do so much better at, because I think the people that come in, maybe they pay £1, £2, £3 to get in, but they're already excited about the products that are going to be there and having something slightly different. We're ordinarily one of the only ready meals. No one's really doing something like us, especially as a frozen ready meal. And being kind of amongst people and getting them to see it, feel it, see the size, because that's the other thing with our portion sizes, they're very generous. So it's 450 grams for one person, or 900 grams for two people, or one very hungry person. And they look like big portions because they're where it is whole food plant-based, it's good volume food, but not really calorie dense. So our meals are, say, between 300 and 600 calories.
Right,
So
okay.
I think our highest calorie one's something like 626, but that's our rainbow sushi bowl, which has nearly 30 grams of protein. So it's quite a high calorie, high protein one.
So if you're also looking at your protein,
Yeah.
then which, you know, then that's
It
that's
serves
what you
its
want.
purpose
Yeah.
there,
And
absolutely.
that was one thing which I'm getting people asking about it now, and it might be something that like I potentially would like to develop a range more for athletes, which is higher protein, higher calorie, and it is specifically tailored for that. But that was my background with my blog. Like, it was called Macro Mitch. Everything was macronutrient based. It was always it was always high protein, and then it was either low fat or low carb or something in between.
Yeah.
And when I was designing these meals, the nutrition was the last thing I cared about. Like, I literally went, well, I'm not going to use much oil to fry it off because I don't really need to, and I don't want to add this much salt, or if I'm using sugar, I'll use a coconut sugar or a maple syrup, so they're unrefined sugars. And in the end, when I would kind of do the meal, put it into our nutrition software, like do all the before and after, get it out, and like every time it was between that 300 and 600 calorie mark for a portion, and I was like, cool, that's great.
Yeah.
It shows you, doesn't it, if you're using good ingredients,
Yeah.
that's the result, right? And we just, you know, you can blow 600 calories on something with so little nutrients in.
That's it. Actually, that's a really good idea. Getting a pack of Oreos, because Oreos are vegan, and stat how many Oreos it is versus one of our meals, just as a side by side. Because it's like you can eat like what?
I didn't know Oreos were vegan.
But they're not gluten-free, but then Tesco's do their own ones.
I light him up.
As you leave here.
This is
Sainsbury's on my way out.
This is the one thing about when like vegan diets. Just because you have a vegan diet doesn't mean you have a healthy diet.
Yeah.
And that's
And I think
that's the
that
other
can
thing.
be the challenge, can't it? I think it's like any diet, right?
Yeah.
You choose to focus on your macro and micronutrients or not. But I think you have to be really. I'm much more aware of it as I get sort of the older I get.
That's it. Like with all the alternatives that are coming to market now. I mean, the vegan market is booming, and it's a really exciting time. And obviously, we have days where we do want to eat, you know, junk food, which is not part of our everyday. But it comes down to balance, and I also see the effect that it has on my energy when I eat that kind of food, and it's just as unhealthy for you as if you were eating the processed version that had meat in. It still goes through a process. We want to eat food, you know, 99% of the time that is so unrefined and so unprocessed. So it's the way that it is supposed to be, you know, fueling your digestion and your energy.
Yeah, you're right. I saw KFC have launched a vegan
the vegan Whopper came out today.
Oh, did it?
King. So, but that's an interesting one, because although the Whopper is vegan, you have to say no mayo, and it's also then fried on the same grill as like obviously the meat burgers. So they're like, it's actually not suitable for vegans because of that side of things. So it's kind of like, we've got the product, but it's not quite ready yet. Or we can't serve it to you.
Progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
But
Yes.
And that's it.
Should Burger King be doing that, right?
Yeah.
I guess that comes when it's a small company. You're like, just, you know.
I think that's an interesting conversation again, because some people sit on the side of the fence where they don't like all the meat
The major
producers or the major corporations going, right, we're going to jump on the vegan bandwagon and come out with a product, because they think it's, you know, at the end of the day, they're not an ethical company, and you're just, you know, putting money into their pockets.
Cashing in.
And then the other side of the fence that I think I look at it positively as, well, the conversation that we're having around making it accessible. If I was a teenager and my friends all ate meat and I wanted to be vegan, and we were all going out and they said, oh, let's go to KFC, there's an option for me there, and I don't feel like I'm not being included. And I think that's really important. It normalises it.
I agree.
And I think at the end of the day, if these companies can see that there is a demand and they can actually make money from these products, then fantastic. And it takes away sales from people buying a meat-based product. So it shows that there is a market for both. And I think that's what's really important. So it's about the inclusion, and then, you know, it gives the argument when people are like, oh, I could never do it because I love this and I love that. Then I say, there's a vegan Magnum now, you know.
I know, aren't they delicious?
And apparently Audi have now got their own ones. So
have they?
need to try them.
I'm a little bit obsessed with the vegan, the Magnum with the almonds on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I try not to. Only when they're on offer do I get them. Because they're not cheap.
And that's
the other thing, right?
It's the
price hike.
Yeah. I think knowing from our experience that, to sort of break it down for a consumer, the reason why there is a price difference is because of the research and development that goes into making a product like this. One of our favourite milk alternative chocolates that we will have is Nomo. And so it's made by a company called Kinnerton, and they spent 6 years developing that chocolate for it to taste just as good. And Nomo means no missing out, and that's their whole ethos with this brand. And we think you can tell that they've spent that long developing this product. So there is going to be a slight price difference because they've got to recoup the cost that it's taken them to get to that, and then eventually it will level out.
It's the supply and demand as well. Like if you've got 20 million people buying this and you've got like a few 100,000 buying that, of course it's going to be cheaper because we can, like, even for us in terms of like bulk buying, like sometimes if we have to buy a short run, you're buying like a kilo versus 10 kilos. The difference in price, it's mad. So that on a huge scale is going to be insane. So that's what it translates to when you actually part with your money. But it's also like there is definitely companies slapping the vegan logo or gluten-free or these labels and charging like more for it because they can. Like it's amazing when you see things that are gluten-free, like say a packet of rice, which hasn't got any flavour, it's just rice, and then it ends up in the gluten-free section for a little bit more expensive.
I know.
It's like you could literally just go to the rice aisle and just pick up a bag of rice.
But that's marketing at the end of the day. It's like psychology of shopping, isn't it?
I know, it's terrible. Well, I guess we better draw to a close because we could probably talk about this for hours, I think. But yeah, otherwise everyone's going to get like, when is this finishing? But thank you so much for talking. So what's your website again?
mitcheskitchen.co.uk.
mitcheskitchen.co.uk. Go check out so you've got a chilli, haven't you, that I think looks
chocolate chilli,
delicious. Chocolate chilli. That's on my list.
Yes.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode with Mitch and Shirin from Mitch's Kitchen. It was fascinating to talk to them, and the jar of vegan mayonnaise that they gave me was very well received. And I can tell you that the chocolate brownies that they sell are so delicious. Even if you're not vegan, you will absolutely 100% love them. So do check out Mitch's Kitchen, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. Tune in next week where we'll have more inspirational stories talking about moving your business beyond what it is and moving it more towards what you're in business for, what's important, and doing good and changing the way things should be done.